All right, Dr. Sutherland, thank you for joining us on the Spider Success Podcast. I'll take this moment for you to go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do here at the University of Richmond with our students.
Excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm one of two associate deans at the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. I work with our students, I work with our alumni, I collaborate a lot with our community partners. And I'm involved in a myriad of things at Jepson School. So students who are applying to the school are very familiar with me because I run the admissions process. They're already often familiar with me because I'm the face at most of the UR admissions prospective student day sessions about Jepson. But one of the probably most significant pieces of my role at Jepson is working with our experiential components of our curriculum. So we have community-based learning classes. And so I work with our faculty as they develop the partnerships with organizations in the city of Richmond that they want to have be part of certain elements of their class. But then the other really big piece is the fact that the Jepson School has an internship requirement, and it's a credit-based requirement. So in my 13 years here, that's looked different at different points in time. But in the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years, we sort of reconfigured the model to try to really make it more, to give students more support with their internship. So we have 2 half-unit courses that students take, one before, one after, before they go off to do their internship. And then around that, we've really tried to develop some interesting ways to engage our alumni to work with our students. Because they're the only people who know what it's like to go out in the world and tell people I have a degree in leadership studies. And then there's lots of other things I do, but I don't know that students necessarily care about those things.
Well, I care.
Well, yeah, I run some other committees and, I work with assessment at the school and things, but, it's not big stuff for the students. So
awesome. So, with that, I'd love to give you the space to talk about the Jepson Edge Institute and what it is and how our students can be involved.
Of course, yeah. So back in, I would say 2012, I was talking with some of our alumni who are involved with our Jepson Alumni Corps. And they were really interested in doing some workshops for students. And one of them in particular thought, hey, let's do something with Jepson alumni talking about the Jepson elevator pitch, explaining leadership studies in 60 seconds or less. So that alum developed a workshop. It was a 2-part workshop. It enlisted some other alumni to come work with her, particularly ones in the Richmond area. And so we ran it 1 year. And as you might imagine, in the busy lives of our students, asking students to come back 2 Friday afternoons in a row, people kind of fell off, right? So the first week was all about crafting your pitch, and the second week was all about practicing your pitch. And we had people who didn't come back to practice their pitch. So our alumni really kind of coalesced around this and said, let's do something like, let's do a big one-day thing, and let's try to get as many alumni as we can involved. And so in 2013, we did our first program. We called it the Jepson Intern Institute, which is such a sexy title. And to be honest, it was pretty small. We only had about 5 alumni who helped us that year. But we really did ask all of our juniors who were getting ready for internship to come to that program. So in 2014, we rebranded ourselves and we became the Jepson Edge Institute. And EDGE stands for Explore, Develop, Gain, and Exceed. And so that's what we hope our students are going to get out of it. They're going to come, they're going to be exposed to these alumni from a variety of different fields and industries. They're going to really develop their capacity to talk about leadership studies and what it prepares them to do. We think they're going to gain a lot of valuable networking skills and other kinds of soft skills as a result. And hopefully all of that will help them exceed. Right. So with our humble little start with 5 alumni in 2013, I will say in 2020, which was our last full-blown in-person Edge, right. We had about 70 alumni who returned to campus for that one-day event. We had them from all over the United States, Chicago, the West Coast, and as far away as Serbia. During the pandemic, we obviously, like everyone, moved to a more virtual model. We chose not to stay with a whole one-day institute, so we kind of broke it up in pieces. But really, during 2021, we had somewhere between 80 to 100 alumni who assisted with various elements of it.
Wow.
And I added up all of their hours. They contributed over 400 hours of time to the various components of EDGE.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. So the alumni working within one committee of the alumni corps, they develop it. So elevator pitch is always there. But we really try to tailor some of the other workshops based on some surveying we do. But they develop the curriculum, they facilitate it. My role is to get everything printed, keep them on task, have all the logistics ready, have space and food. But it is really alumni driven, which is really great. And they stay very engaged with the students. They all of them that come basically give me permission to provide all of their contact information so students can follow up with them and all of the rest. So
that's pretty outstanding. So now, do you have a date for?
I do. I was just looking that up before we got on. So we always do EDGE President's Day weekend because it works for some alums and not for others. But the nice thing is for people who have President's Day off, it means that it's easier to travel to campus, right? So it is always that Sunday. So it's Sunday, February 19th, 2023. We will be in the Jepson Alumni Center because we have outgrown Jepson Hall, although we used to like to do it right here at home. Yeah. And we're right now in the process of soliciting those alumni who are going to be part of it. So people are signing up. But yeah, so the juniors preparing for internship already have that on their calendar. I gave them a save the date. But we invite any Jepson major, whether they're sophomores or seniors, to join us as well. Okay. We haven't really had people who were non-Jepson people come, because, there is a big part of the thing about explaining leadership studies. And so if you're not in the school, wouldn't be all that relevant to you. So, yeah.
So with the sophomores and the seniors, is there anything in particular they need to do to be able to come to this? Do they need to sign up, or are they able to just show up?
That's a good question. So typically what I will do for the sophomores, I usually reach out to our sophomores and say, hey, if you want to come, you're welcome to it. But if they're going to come, we do have them start working on their elevator pitch, because what we've been doing since we moved to the model where we have the half unit internship class, I actually have alumni who come into my class before EDGE and get the students working on their pitch so that when they come to EDGE, we can really spend the time where they get to meet with, 5 to 7 different alumni, run their pitch and get feedback, right? So if sophomores are going to come, sometimes they're able to sit in on the internship class. Often I will film one section of internship each week so I can actually make the video available to them. So sophomores need to do a little work to try to get started on their pitch. For seniors, they should have already kind of developed their pitch. Yeah. So they have less prep work, but I reach out to them as well and say, hey, if you want to come, and they just, either I set up a form for them. But if they're in Jepson and they're a sophomore or senior, they will hear from me. So. All
right. Good to know. Good to know. And so this is my last question about Jepson EDGE. So you have previous sessions recorded? Like, do you have a bank of those?
No. So internship class I have recorded, but not EDGE. Yeah, we haven't really done that. I guess we do have some from the COVID years, right? Because we were doing it on Zoom. But again, those were sort of broken up in different places. But yeah, we haven't brought a full. Sometimes when you bring those recorders in and they're in the back of the room, it changes the dynamic, So we haven't gotten to the point that we've done that. And also, there's usually 3 sessions going concurrently. Okay. Students are, let's say, rotating through 3 different sessions. yes, we could film all 3 elevator pitch sessions, but I don't know how exciting it would be, because really it's people sitting in small groups running their pitch, right? So we haven't chosen to do that, but we definitely do have a few that we have from the COVID period. So yeah.
Okay. That's great and outstanding information for our student athletes. So my next question, you hit on it a little bit, but can you give me more detail on the internship requirement for the Jepson majors?
Sure, most definitely. So it's really an opportunity, we think, for students to go off and explore whatever field or industry they're interested in. So it's not as though we have this set list of places where students get to intern.
Right.
It's unlimited. But it's really credit bearing, because we ask them in a variety of different ways to make connections back to the curriculum. We want them to be thinking about, how do you apply the theories that we're talking about in the classroom and those sorts of things. So students typically do it between their junior and senior year. And really the reason we place it there is we want them to be through a certain part of the curriculum, specifically, among other things, our theories and models class, which they take junior year. Because that's really gonna give them a good foundation to go out into the organizations where they're interning and really consider and think about the leader-follower dynamics, the leadership styles that are being employed. So the spring of their junior year, they take a half-unit course. And, obviously a major focus of that course is supporting them and helping them search for internship opportunities.
Right.
So we do a variety, a number of classes that have to do with the search process. But we also do a lot of professional development type topics. We talk about networking. We talk about, effectively using LinkedIn and other kinds of social media, not only in regards to branding themselves, but about networking as well. They go off in the summer, they have their experience. They have to do a minimum of 240 hours. So that's about 6 weeks full time.
Okay.
Many of them do much more than that. So we have lots of people who do more than that. And the Jepson School has its own program under the Richmond Guarantee umbrella.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, so we actually had money before the Richmond Guarantee existed to support our students. So we have a program called the Burris Fellowships. And so Jepson students who are completing their internship, if they're applying for UR Summer Fellowship money, can apply to Burris, which is specific for Jepson. And then on the other side, and during the summer, let me say, while they're interning, we ask them to do about 6 reflections. They're not wildly lengthy. We're not asking them to do academic citations, but there are some very specific prompts that we ask them to sort of blog about on WordPress, mostly to kind of just capture things as they're happening, right? We don't want them to forget really important things that occur over the course of their internship. And then in the fall, the other half-unit class is really thinking about making meaning of the internship and then kind of preparing for post-grad. So they have one fairly significant academic paper they write where they're really making academic connections back to literature and themes and topics from our classes. We've had them do presentations, and really since COVID, we've been having them do them virtually, which is great. They record them, and then I do have a whole bank of those. So that the next group of juniors can see videos that what the seniors did last summer, which can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And then we talk about evaluating and negotiating job offers, personal finance, thinking about other post-grad opportunities, grad school, fellowships, service organizations, continuing to develop and maintain your network, asking and using feedback, sort of transitioning into the real world, work-life balance, and those sorts of things. So,
man, that's way more in depth than I even thought it was.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
we should get everybody to do that.
Well,
last question.
Okay.
In regards to the internship, you said the Burris, it's the Burris Fund. Is that the same amount they would get under the Richmond Guarantee?
It is. So all of the programs that fall under the umbrella, whether it's the Center for Civic Engagement or the chaplaincy or Jepson, we all use the same model. So it's
Okay.
about number of hours, number of weeks, and whatever the going rate. And I think it's going to be raised again in the next year or so. We all use the same rate and it's the whole same process every day. So if you go to the UR Summer Fellowship website, where we tried to construct that so all of the programs are in one place,
Right.
all of the information and the whole process, the application process. Some of the programs ask, maybe for Center for Civic Engagement, you need a letter from a faculty member who's going to be your sponsor, and that's not something you need for Burris, or sometimes you need to submit something else for this program. But on that URSF page, we really try to outline what each program requires. So
Okay.
same
All right.
process, same deadlines. Yep. So.
Gotcha. That's good to know. We've already talked to Brendan, so we're familiar.
Excellent. All right.
So this is awesome. So Dr. Soderlund, thank you.
Of course.
This is exceptional amount of information about a great program. And I appreciate your time very deeply. Thank you so much.
Thank you for including us.
Oh yeah. I can't not include you guys. Before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to add or any tidbits you want to throw in there?
No. We love working with our student athletes. We have any number of them over here at the Jepson School. And I'm not gonna lie, every year related to Edge, we might have some conflicts and we'll work those out. So because we may have folks traveling or things of that sort. But I think one thing we try very hard to do is recognize and work with our student athletes who've got exceptionally busy schedules and want to make certain that they can avail themselves of all the resources at Jepson, but recognizing that it doesn't always line up exactly with when things might be going off. And so we're going to work with them and work that out.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your service and all the things that you're doing for our student athletes. And have a wonderful rest of your week.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right.